for the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here today.
Hi, you're watching Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. Today's show is all about pride, reputation and legacy, words that form the cornerstone for sporting success. We bring you two brands, two teams fighting to protect and safeguard their legacy. One, a football club that seems to have taken a nosedive from the glorious and days of supremacy to losses and reports of negativity in their locker room. The other, an F1 team that has been a rock-solid franchise for decades now, but will some allegations following a horrid season pull them down? And then there is the reputation of the legacy an individual sportsperson strives to achieve. What happens when you come back for more glory after having stepped away from the pitch? Will the comeback live up to the legacy you had supposedly left behind? A lot of interesting stories and perspectives lined up for you today, but before that, let's take a look at the headlines in Sports 360. Let's start with cricket. The England women's team beat hosts India in a T20 match last night. The visitors batted first and set a massive target of 198 runs. Half centuries from Nat Siver-Brunt and Danny Wyatt helped England to post a high score. Indian batters were unable to keep up with the high run rate. Despite a half century from Shafali Verma, India fell short by 38 runs to continue a poor run of form in T20 internationals, especially at home. England now lead the three-match T20 series 1-0. It was a day of wins for England's cricket. England beat the West Indies by 6 wickets in yesterday's ODI match. The hosts West Indies batted first and were bowled out for 202 runs in the 39th over itself. England batters Will Jacks and captain Jos Buttler both scored half centuries in the successful run chase. England have now levelled the three-match ODI series 1-1. Staying with cricket, Mushfiqur Rahim has become the batter from Bangladesh, the first batter in fact from Bangladesh to be dismissed for obstructing the field. This happened during a test match against New Zealand yesterday. Mushfiqur played a back foot defence shot on a ball from Kylie Jamieson. The ball bounced on the pitch once and then Mushfiqur reached out to catch the ball. After this, New Zealand called on the umpire to review the play for obstruction of field. Mushfiqur Rahim has now become the first batter in Test cricket to be declared out for obstructing the field since 1951. On to news from football. Accusations against former Spanish football chief Luis Rubiales keeps mounting. Now England's Lucy Bronze has accused Rubiales of forcefully kissing her after the Women's World Cup final. Another England player, Laura Coombs, has accused Rubiales of cupping her face, which made her feel uncomfortable. Rubiales is already on trial for kissing Spanish player Jenny Hermoso without her consent after that World Cup final. And in tennis, Karolina Wozniacki has received a wildcard entry for the 2024 Australian Open Grand Slam. She's set to make her comeback at the Melbourne Park after a gap of 4 years. 33-year-old Wozniacki is a former Australian Open champion, having won the title back in 2018. Now, if there's a football team in the Premier League whose legacy is known worldwide, then it's most likely Manchester United. Some of the greats of football like David Beckham, Cristiano Ronaldo and Alex Ferguson have been associated with this club in the past. There was a time when Red Devil fever swept across Asia and Africa. Manchester United had the highest fan following outside Europe. It was even declared the most popular football club in the world with a fan base of over 1 billion people. Apart from a big fan base, United have been a success at the Premier League. They have been crowned league champions a record 13 times. Their popularity is backed, of course, by their performance. However, this year has been a year full of hiccups for the Red Devils. They were knocked out of the Carabao Cup after a 3-0 defeat to Newcastle United, that too on their home ground, the Old Trafford. And they're on the brink of being knocked out of the Champions League. Once Premier League toppers are now sitting in the 6th position. At least 5 starters of the Red Devils have been sidelined due to injuries. Add to that, there's been a lot of chatter of lack of camaraderie and just plain bad blood in the locker room. There are reports that the players aren't happy with their manager Erik Ten Hag. There have been multiple instances that has been reported of Haag ruffling the feathers, and there's being a growing rift between the manager and some of the players. So much so that there are camps in the locker room and growing dissent. And it has been these reports which seem to have irked Ten Hag. Manchester United have imposed a controversial ban on 4 media outlets. That's the latest developments. They will not be allowed to attend press conferences that Ten Hag will hold. The ban was imposed because Ten Hag feels that the media has been going behind his back and approaching United players for comments without getting the questions cleared first. Here's what Erik Ten Hag had to say about the ban.
But they should come to us first and not go around in our back, printing articles. That's not the right thing. I think we have another relationship, and then they can, if they should give that to us beforehand, we have a normal and a professional discussion and debate about it.
Now, Ten Hag isn't wrong either. Maybe some boundaries were crossed. Premier League can become quite a fanatical space, and the media has always played a big part in creating such flare-ups. When Ten Hag was asked whether the players were unhappy with his leadership, he was quick to play down the reports.
If the players have a different opinion, of course I will listen, but they haven't told me, or maybe one or two. But it's about, so in general, so the majority, they want to play like this, proactive, dynamic, brave. That is what they want.
They haven't told him yet, to maybe one or two. Quite a muddled response that from Haag. There is no doubt that Manchester United is going through a confusing phase, one of its roughest patches till date. They have taken in young talent. The team culture is still developing. Manager Erik Ten Hag has spent close to a year and a half at the club, and he agrees that United are yet to find their rhythm.
We are on the journey, on the route. We know we are still in transition, but we are in the right direction. And you see it, like how we construct the team, how we develop the team, how the team is progressing, how young players coming in, and you see the potential, how they can contribute to very successful Manchester United for the future.
But despite all the chaos, the Red Devils are slowly and steadily moving forward. They beat Chelsea 2-1 in last night's thriller. Scott McTominay scored for United in the 19th minute. Chelsea equalised in the 45th on a score from Cole Palmer. In the second half, McTominay scored his double to seal the win for Man United in the 69th minute. Was this a consolatory win for the Red Devils? Or have Erik Ten Hag and his men found their way back? Now, the Premier League season is nearing its halfway mark. Will United spring back to glory, or will they drown in all the noise? The relationship between players and the manager at Manchester United post the Ferguson era has been a tenuous one. The question is, will Erik Ten Hag be able to stand his ground, douse the fire and forge something special that will eclipse all that's happened in his tenure so far? Now, it's off-season for Formula One racing, or that's what we had thought. Formula One's governing body, the International Automobile Federation, or the FIA, has announced an investigation to probe allegations of a conflict of interest between Mercedes racing boss Toto Wolff and his wife Susie Wolff. Now, Susie Wolff heads the all-female Formula One Academy, while also reporting to Formula One's Chief Executive Officer and President, Stefano Domenicali. And there are reports that classified information are being passed around. The allegations concern the possibility of sharing insider information between Susie and her husband. Basically, the claims are that Susie, who is close to Formula One's CEO, has passed on sensitive information to the head of Mercedes Racing, who happens to be her husband. Has Mercedes Racing benefited with Toto Wolff's wife Susie working for Formula One CEO? Take a look.
It was a stellar season for Formula One racing. Many records were broken not just by teams and racers, but by the sporting body itself. The 2023 season had some historic viewership. The races grabbed eyeballs of millions of people. Formula One CEO and President Stefano Domenicali says that 40% of fans were women, the highest it has ever been. Domenicali also added that F1 racing saw its highest viewership in Asian countries, particularly India. On one side, F1 was gaining popularity. On the other end, Red Bull team's Max Verstappen was having a record-breaking year. Verstappen won his third title. He finished the season with a total of 590 points, the highest in F1 history. Verstappen secured the biggest F1 championship winning margin with a lead of 290 points. He had the most wins in a racing season as he finished top of the podium in 19 out of 22 races. And Verstappen also set the record for the most consecutive race wins, which was 10. This is just a handful of records he and Red Bull broke this year. While they were having a golden season, their arch rivals Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton were struggling to keep up. After an unimpressive 2023 season, Mercedes boss Toto Wolff promised to overhaul the team. He called the team's performance unacceptable and totally baffling. This was one of the worst seasons for Mercedes racing in the last 13 years. The lead racer, Lewis Hamilton, did not have a single race win. In fact, Hamilton last topped the podium in December in 2021, that's 2 years ago. But it seems like despite the season ending, things have come back to haunt Mercedes. As per reports, a number of teams claim that confidential information was being provided to Mercedes. The allegations are that Susie Wolff, who works with the all-female F1 Academy and reports to F1 President Domenicali, has passed on sensitive information to her husband Toto Wolff, the head of Mercedes Racing. Now, Formula One's governing body, the International Automobile Federation or FIA, has launched an investigation. They're probing the allegations of Mercedes Racing receiving insider information, and this has spread like wildfire in the racing community. Susie Wolff was the first to respond to the allegations. She took to her Instagram to announce her disappointment with the claims.
I am deeply insulted but sadly unsurprised by the public allegations that have been made this evening. It is disheartening that my integrity is being called into question in such a manner, especially when it seems to be rooted in intimidatory and misogynistic behavior and focused on my marital status rather than my abilities. In the strongest possible terms, I reject this allegation.
After Susie's strong messaging, Mercedes too rejected the claims of conflict of interest. Then, things took a different turn and all 9 teams put out a coordinated statement saying they never filed a complaint.
We can confirm that we have not made any complaint to the FIA regarding the allegation of information of a confidential nature being passed between an F1 team principal and a member of F1 staff. We are pleased and proud to support F1 Academy and its managing director through our commitment to sponsor an entrant in our liveries from next season.
The latest dispute comes amid growing rift between Formula One and FIA. They've been at loggerheads ever since Emirati Mohammed bin Sulayem took over as FIA president in 2021. And it looks like the FIA will follow through with the probe that is alleging possible cheating in Formula One, increasing hostilities between the two even further.
Now, in sports, it's almost never easy to say goodbye. The body may be pushing them to, but the mind always dithers. Very few know exactly when to call it quits. Most sportspersons don't have a fairy tale goodbye, and that's probably why the need to go back and get on a high. But what about those who hang up their boots only to return? With many, the return is bittersweet, like England cricketer Ben Stokes, who came out of retirement to play the ODI World Cup in 2023 in India, only to return having been part of England's worst World Cup campaign just yet. Now, some have, of course, a fairy tale story like former Pakistan cricketer Imran Khan, who retired after the 1987 World Cup to only come back and captain his team in the 1992 edition to lead his men in what would be Pakistan's lone ODI World Cup title till date. The reason we speak about this today is because of the story of figure skater Deanna Stellato-Dudek, who was forced to retire at the age of 17 owing to multiple hip injuries, only to make a stunning comeback 17 years later to now being seeded #1 at the Grand Prix finale at Beijing with her skating partner Maxime Deschamps. That is one truly stunning comeback story. But what have been some of the other notable ones that had left everyone awestruck? Some big names there. Take a look.
The biggest comeback story has been that of Michael Jordan. He shocked the world announcing his retirement at the age of 30 just months after winning the NBA championship with the Chicago Bulls in 1993. Jordan made his return to the NBA in 1995, winning 3 more titles with the Bulls. George Foreman had called it quits in 1977 after losing to Jimmy Young. But the boxing champion made his comeback a decade later. He won a string of fights leading up to a knockout win over Michael Moorer to win the WBA and IBF heavyweight titles at the age of 45. Belgium tennis star Kim Clijsters called pause on her career in 2005 and then made her return in 2009 and won the US Open Grand Slam title as an unseeded wildcard entrant. She went on to defend her title the following year. She took another break in 2012 before coming back in 2020. One of the best comeback stories from retirement has been that of Michael Phelps. The swimmer retired after the 2012 London Olympics. He came back to the pool at the 2016 Rio Olympics, where he won 5 medals. Lionel Messi had very briefly announced his retirement after Argentina's heartbreaking loss to Chile in the Copa America final in 2016. He reversed his announcement a few weeks later and led Argentina to the World Cup final in 2018, a Copa America title in 2021, and finally a World Cup win in 2022. Comebacks are not easy, but with the advancement in medicine and sports science, athletes are able to better understand their bodies, and dreaming of success again or pushing the body to excel even after a certain age is definitely a pattern that's beginning to emerge.
And many of the champions today who are at the top of their game are those who have been at it for decades. Age has not slowed them down, nor has it curbed their desire to win. In fact, the more experienced you are, it's proving to be that the more you are bound to excel. As we wrap up today's show, we'd like to leave you with our parting shot or the last serve. We've seen a kayaker plunge down a waterfall, but today beats all of that. It's about an American wakeboarder, Brian Grubb. He achieved a new feat of merging water sports while jumping off a skyscraper in Dubai. There's sport, there's adrenaline in sports, and then there's this.
Brian's off the ramp.
Nerves of steel, clearly, but that does it here on Firstpost today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.